Just recently, astronomer Jane Greaves and her team revealed phosphene deeper within Venus's atmosphere than ever spotted before. In 2020, a similar finding caused an uproar in the scientific community, seeing as phosphene is thought to be a sign of life. Here on Earth, phosphene is a byproduct of microorganisms living in low oxygen environments. So, this finding could be an absolutely gigantic landmark in all of history, really. We'll just have to wait and see. Nonetheless, the slim possibility, the chance that we could find alien life so close to home, in the relative astronomical sense, if we find it so close to home, then it breaks open everything we know, or thought we knew. After all, science is not static. It evolves frequently based off of new findings and new discoveries. And space exploration will drastically change the way we think about science as more and more is understood about the universe. Space exploration will change the way we understand life on the whole. While alien life has not been confirmed, it's becoming more and more likely that it will happen. And so, with it being a question of when, not if, it got me thinking. It got me thinking about the fact that once upon a time, I would have told you that I didn't believe in aliens. And so, what happened? What changed? Why did I used to think that way? The answer is Christianity, in short, at least in the fundamental context I grew up in. You see, the doctrine sort of went like this. The Bible is the ultimate authority and the truth of all life. And according to the Bible, Jesus only died once. He only died once to save us from our sins. And so, therefore, aliens could not exist because he would have had to die for their sins as well. Now, even if you're a rock, you can see how these claims don't really make any sense and how they have little logic to them. Primarily, we're already assuming that Jesus is the real Son of God, the Christian God at that. The whole Christian canon. Further, the Bible was only written here on Earth, as far as we know. And calling back to the beginning of the video, there's still much more to be found out about our planetary neighbors, let alone the entire universe. And so what I'm saying is that we would have no idea if Jesus went to Tatooine to die for their sins there. There are many more holes to poke through here, and Christians may respond with something along the lines of, well, if there were alien life, that's pretty important, and God would have told us about that. Not only are there many seemingly important things God should have told us that we had to figure out for ourselves, like the Earth not being the center of the universe, for example, but you could already argue in a semantic way that we do have alien life, and that is AI. No, not Allen Iverson. But we will save AI and Christianity for another time. Okay, kevgep, where is this video going? This seems to have no direction. Well, if you would just give me a little more time, I hate when you always do this. If you could just listen and be patient, I'm just sick and tired of it. The point is that Christians don't allow any speculation or even deliberation about alien life because it doesn't fit their doctrine. Of course, it goes further than possible alien life. You will see the same Christian sentiments thrown out against things like climate change, for example. And, we don't even need to get into the weeds about gender and evolution. Overall, Christians, and more specifically evangelicals or fundamentalists, whatever you want to go with, they hate science. Science serves as a mechanism to sort of disprove a lot of claims Christians want to believe in. And the claims that science disproves are the ones that evangelicals or fundamentalists would really love to hang on to. Whether or not they know it, the way Christianity has survived all of these years is through an illusion of freedom, supplanted by what I can only really call, unfortunately, slavery, at least ideologically speaking. If you're a history buff, you might have already thought this to yourself. But, I don't know. Things like the Spanish Inquisition and the Crusades happened, and for many centuries, priests were the only people allowed to even read the Bible. Which means you'd also know is that for reasons like these, the Protestant Reformation happened. And while the decentralization of the church certainly helped, it clearly did not go away and is clearly heavily involved in many individuals' lives. Think of countless mission trips taking place in colonial Africa and South America. Not to mention, they still happen today. Think of the pressure applied to governments to appeal to Christian morality. The most recent example is the stripping away of women's reproductive rights and allowing for businesses to discriminate against LGBTQ people. Look, I'd be lying if I didn't say that I want this video to be a hit piece against Christianity, but I think we'd be better off calling it a hit piece against organized Christianity. The Perennial Philosophy by Aldous Huxley has been one of the most challenging and difficult books that I've ever read, but one thing is very clear. It's that Huxley wants to maintain that the people and the political arm of Christianity is the main reason why it has become such a disease. And so I'm going to read a quote now, kind of a long quote, but because I think Huxley can express this notion better than I can. So, it's quote time. In the past, the nations of Christendom persecuted in the name of their faith, fought religious wars, and undertook crusades against infidels and heretics. Today, they have ceased to be Christian in anything but name, and the only religion they profess is some brand of local idolatry, such as nationalism, state worship, boss worship, and revolutionism. I don't like the little anti-revolutionist little sneak diss, Huxley. I don't like that. But I can't stress this fact enough. This book was not written in 2023. It was written in 1945, still remaining so relevant and prevalent to this day. See, Christendom, coined by the father of existentialism, Soren Kierkegaard, who also shared anxious feelings about organized religion, has been a net negative for humanity to this day. Here is the crux of the video, why I prefer to call it a hit piece against Christendom, as Kierkegaard puts it, and not Christianity. Ultimately, Christianity, while definitely critiquable, is not wholly to blame for the problems it's caused. It's the people that have ruined Christianity and given it a bad name. Wait, did this video just turn into me defending Christianity? How could I forget? They don't let us talk about aliens. So indeed, the whole point of this video is anti-Christendom, not anti-Christian, but it allows us to realize a peculiar fact about the nature of language itself. If a Christian were to watch this video, and I hope there are some out there, hello, they would definitely call it anti-Christian, not anti-Christendom, even though I've explicitly and reinforced that it's simply not. Further, it's why in regular conversation, someone may prefer to call themselves an atheist or an agnostic based on previous experiences they've had with the other person they're talking to. It's why, to some, I may call myself a communist, a socialist, an anarchist, or none of those things because of language. Depending on the context, I simply let the other person know that I want to challenge capitalism, or that I think capitalism should be challenged. Those are two very different statements and language. It is why I will defend communism in debates, not because I wholly agree with it, but because linguistically it represents a challenge to the norm. You know, I'm not gonna say that I'm a heavy Stalinist or anything like that, but maybe. No, definitely not. In the end then, aliens teach us about Christianity through a language they can't even conceptualize. That is, they teach us about Christianity through our own human language. Their either existence or non-existence winds up being a display of ideological semantics in my eyes. even though, science. In 2023, we operate on many levels of irony, especially on the internet, and language has probably been changing the most because of this. Therefore, I think it's extremely important and urgent to understand what aliens teach us about our own world of linguistics, why it's important to try to be as precise as possible with our words, and, most importantly, for us to try to have empathy in these deep and intense conversational spaces. Peace and love.